Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in downtown East St. Louis, Illinois, and I'm standing in front of a building which just recently made news as soon as last week when it was announced that it was going to be rehabbed. It has been sitting vacant for a number of years. There is no marker here, but the reason I'm doing an episode is because of the reasons I stated, because there's going to be big things happening here, plus the historic value of this building. And I'm not going to be going inside, but I'll tell you a lot of history about it, and plus we're going to walk around it, so here we go. And in front of me is the Broadview Hotel, as it is still called today. It was just announced during the last week of March 2023 that this building, after months of discussion over its future, will finally be put to use. This will be for senior living. The whole thing will cost $44 million. It is expected to reopen in late 2024, but check it out. The finished building will have 110 apartments as well as retail and commercial space. I'm assuming it's going to be on the bottom. It is said that this will add 200 jobs. So, could this be something positive or worthy to the community? There has already been lots of debate on social media and news sites like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter about whether this building is worth saving. I will not give my opinion, but instead a neutral look at what's going to happen. But community leaders seem very confident in the project. And I know this is going to sound very surprising, well, maybe, but this is the first new major project in the city of East St. Louis in 30 years. That was 30 years ago in 1993 when Casino Queen moved in, which to this day is a major employer among many other things. So I'm going to show you the left side of the building and the rear side, and you can tell already that the construction has already begun, because I've already seen a few men walk in and out of the building already with their hard hats, and it's easy to forget that those construction people have a very dangerous job. They got to deal with asbestos and fear of falling and injury, among many other notables. But definitely, the gutting process is beginning at the moment, and this is only the beginning for how it's going to look in the very end. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you the back side of it, where I'm not really going to get too close, close enough to the fence. So here's kind of a better view of the rear side. Now, if you pay attention to the back and all the detail and features of the architecture, the back of the building, I mean, it was definitely unique for its time. And now for a little history. The hotel was built by Arthur J. Widmer of the Widmer Engineering Company. This was to be a futuristic hotel, and one that would help maintain East St. Louis becoming a growing large city, as well as being downstate Illinois' largest area. Built in 1927, it opened in 1928, but soon after, as one would expect, the Great Depression arrived and the hotel would suffer financial setbacks. And just 10 years before was the famous East St. Louis race riot, something the city wanted to put behind them. The hotel would be mostly renting out rooms like short-term residential type, if you know what I mean. Despite that, at that time, it was the largest and most luxurious hotel in the city. There were two other known hotels at the time, one being by the stockyards. But this hotel, the Broadview Hotel, had a lot of modern features such as air conditioning. There were 260 rooms, a large ballroom, a restaurant, meeting rooms, and a rooftop garden. Now remember, during the first half of the 20th century, hotels were one of the most luxurious and grandest places to be. But after World War II, chain hotels and motels became more popular, and more people wanted to stay in the suburbs, as opposed to downtown areas like here and St. Louis across the river. Still, chain hotels and motels remain popular today, although now they are competing with Airbnb and Vrbo. Going back to the Broadview Hotel, it would lose a lot of business by the 1950s, and by 1957, it would be rented out to the then new Southern Illinois University. At that time, they opened a satellite campus in East St. Louis. Actually, they had rented out the second floor starting in 1957, but SIU would eventually purchase the hotel in the 1970s. That would last until 2004. Also during the 1970s, legendary dancer and choreographer Katherine Dunham taught classes here until the late 1980s. So since 2004, the hotel has remained vacant. There have been at least 2 YouTubers who have been inside the place. Well, urban explorers, shall we say. One thing I forgot to mention was that the hotel also housed a radio studio in the beginning. From 1927 to 1935, WIL broadcasted from here. In fact, this was the first time those call letters were put to use, and today WIL is a country station. Well, at the time, when it was in the hotel, it was on the 1430 AM dial. It is not really known how many famous guests have stayed here, but I can tell you Baseball Hall of Famer Grover Cleveland Alexander took up temporary residence here during his playing years with the St. Louis Cardinals. He played for the Cardinals during the years of 1926 to 1929, and in 1926 the team won the World Series, in which of course he contributed. But most of Alexander's golden years were pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies. So on December 31st, 2013, the Broadview Hotel was listed on the National Register of Historic Places, despite of it being vacant. There is a group out there called Landmarks Illinois. In 2021, not surprisingly, this structure made the list of the top 10 most endangered historic places in Illinois. So now I'm standing on a Metrolink platform, 5th and Broadway to be exact, in East St. Louis. So I imagine this empty lot right here will be a parking lot, or maybe that will. Not for sure. That is the Spivey building. No, I do not plan on going in there, but you can ask my urban exploration friends on that one. And that is the rear side of the Broadview Hotel. And if you can see it, that is the St. Louis Arch as well as the remaining parts of St. Louis skyline. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in downtown East St. Louis, Illinois, and I hope you learned a lot of interesting history about this place, which is going to get a new life pretty soon. So, signing off.